In this video, we're continuing on with the All Transformations worksheet on the KutaSoftware website under the Geometry section. For numbers 9 and 10, it states to graph the image of the figure using the transformation given. In number 9, we have a rotation 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. So remember, with a 90 degree clockwise rotation for x, y, that becomes y negative x. So B prime will be 0, positive 2. C prime will be 3, positive 4. Z prime will be 4, positive 3. And X prime will become 4, positive 1. So plotting each of those, B prime, 0, 2. C prime, 3, 4. Z prime, 4, 3, and then X prime, 4, 1. And then I'll connect B prime to C prime, from C prime to the next closest point, Z prime, then to X prime, and then finally back to B prime. That's our answer in number 9. And quickly, I'll plot the original figure so that you can see the rotation. Moving on to number 10, we have a reflection across the y equals x axis. Now I'll show you a trick for this. The coordinates x, y will become flipped. So when reflecting across the y equals x axis, y now takes the place of x and x takes the place of y. So we'll have k prime flipping, that'll be negative 2, negative 5. A prime, as opposed to negative 4, 1, that was A, will have 1, negative 4. I prime will have negative 1, 0. And then J, flipping x and y, will get negative 4, negative 2. So I'll start by graphing my new reflected figure. K prime, negative 2, negative 5. A prime, positive 1, negative 4. I prime, negative 1, 0. And then J prime, negative 4, negative 2. So here is my reflected figure, and I'll quickly do the original so that you can indeed see the reflection. For the last 4 problems, we're going to be finding the coordinates of the vertices of each figure after the given transformation. So essentially, we're going to either translate, rotate, or reflect the given points, because those make up the vertices of our figure. So for number 11, we have a rotation about the origin 180 degrees. Remember that for points x, y, a 180 degree rotation will be negative x, negative y, or the opposite of x and the opposite of y. So E prime, the opposite of x, will have negative 2, and the opposite of y will have positive 2. For J prime, the opposite of x will have negative 1, and the opposite of 2 will be negative 2. For R prime, the opposite of 3 is negative 3, and the opposite of 3 is negative 3. And lastly, S prime, the opposite of 5 is negative 5, and the opposite of 2 is negative 2. So those are my coordinates of the vertices of my rotation of 180 degrees. In number 12, we're reflecting across the y equals 2 line. So because that is a horizontal line, we're reflecting the points vertically. So the x direction does not change, just my y values will change since we're flipping the figure in the y direction. So let's write J prime, 1, comma, and then we'll leave that blank because we know we're not changing any of the x coordinates. So we can go ahead and write them in. J prime, U prime will have 0 as our x coordinate, R prime will have 1, and C prime we will have 3. Now we just need to figure out the y coordinates. 3, 5, 5, and 2. And since we're reflecting across y equals 2, we have to see the distance that this number is away from that y equals 2, and then go below 2 by that amount. So for example, take J. The y value for J is 3. That is 1 away from 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. So now we want to go 1 away from 2. So 2 minus 1. Since our 3 was positive, we were 1 away above. So we're going to take away 1 so that we can be 1 below. So our y value will be 1 for j prime. U, 5 minus 2, we are currently 3 above. So we want to go 3 below, so we're going to add a negative 3 or simply subtract 3 from 2 to get negative 1. So looking at u, our y coordinate in u prime is negative 1. Now looking at r, again, we're 5 above, so it will be the same math. So r prime will be at negative 1, since we're 3 below that y equals 2 line. And lastly, c, 2 minus 2 is 0. So we're on that line, y equals 2, so we're not going to change the y value. So 2 minus 0 is still 2. So again, j prime is 1, 1, u prime will be 0, negative 1, c prime will be 3, 2, and r prime will be 1, negative 1 for number 12. In number 13, this is a translation. So we're going 7 units to the right, so that's plus 7 in the x direction, and we're going 1 unit down, so that's minus 1 in the y direction. So for j prime, we'll take negative 3, add 7 to that coordinate, and we'll take 1 and subtract 1. For f prime, negative 2, we will add 7, and for 3, we will subtract 1. So that's to the right and 1 down. And then lastly, the same for n. We're going to have negative 2, and we're going to add 7, since that's the x coordinate, and then we're going to take away 1 from 0 for n prime. So j prime, negative 3 plus 7 is 4, and 1 minus 1 is 0. For f prime, negative 2 plus 7 is 5, and 3 minus 1 is 2. And lastly, for n prime, negative 2 plus 7 is 5, and 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So our coordinates in number 13 for the vertices are j prime of 4, 0, f prime of 5, 2, and n prime of 5, negative 1. And now onto the last problem. Again, we have a translation. We know we're going positive 6 in the x direction and 3 units down. So this is negative 3 in the y direction. So I'll add 6 to negative 3 and take away 3 from 3. I'll add 6 to negative 1 and take away 3 from 4. I'll add 6 to negative 2 and take away 3 from negative 1. So s prime, negative 3 plus 6 will be a positive 3. 3 minus 3 will be 0. So the coordinates for s prime are 3, 0. For c prime, my x value, negative 1 plus 6, will be a positive 5. And 4 minus 3 will be a positive 1. So for c prime, I'll have 5, 1. And lastly, w prime, negative 2 plus 6. So starting at negative 2 and moving 6 to the right, I'll be at a positive 4. And starting at negative 1 in the y direction and moving down 3, I'll be at negative 4. So 4, negative 4 for w prime. And that is my final solution on my all transformations worksheet. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. Also, feel free to just leave me a note. And if you haven't done so already, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. All likes and subscriptions are greatly appreciated.